We are at our annotation menu now, and we're going to go through a couple different processes, a couple different ways that you can manipulate and change and modify these annotation labels to maximize the readability, the layout, the general feel of the map. Okay, so first, if we go to the select button here, we can select our annotations, right? Their properties or their layers, just like any other layer, right? So we can select our national forest, right, or our rivers, or our annotations. They all kind of operate the same. And so we have that selected. Let's go to the edit menu, and now we have these different tools that we can use to edit this feature layer, right? So if we go to move, we can just grab this. Let's take Hinsdale County, put it down here where there's a little bit more open space for it to rest, right? Same here. Let's go to Montezuma County, and now that I'm on move, this is just what it's going to automatically sit there, so we can just move that down a little bit. Maybe San Miguel, we'll move that just a bit down, just to avoid these conflicts with the roads, right? Now, a couple places we don't really have that option. Montrose County, we don't really have a place to move it. That's not going to conflict with the roads, right? So what we're going to do instead is add a small halo around it so that it has a little bit more buffer with that roads behind it. Okay, so the way we do that is you have this selected, go to attributes here, and it's going to pull up these two menus, your attribute table and your annotation table. Right, you can also access it here by hitting the annotation tab. And here we could do, change the style, change the size, change the color, all that stuff. We could right justify this, left justify it, center. So when we go to San Juan County here, see how it's right justified? We'll want to center justify that. But working on Montrose County, let's say we want a halo. Let's hit symbol, and that's going to pull up this text property menu that we've been working with the whole lab. And let's go down here to halo. Let's turn our halo symbol to solid color. We have it white. Let's make it 2. Right, and now clear our selection. We can go in here, we can see now it has this halo, so it has a buffer for that road network behind it. Makes it a little bit more readable, a little bit cleaner. To sit in there. And for me personally, I like to have my halos at semi-transparent as opposed to opaque value. So let's put this at 50% and apply. Right, and this way you can kind of see the road network behind it. Right, but it gives it a little bit of a buffer that at this distance gives it some spaciousness. And you have to adjust this as you think best suits it. So, if you're a little bit more transparent, maybe you want your buffer to be a little bit bigger. Kind of mess with this. Or maybe make it smaller, but make it 30% instead. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that makes that just sitting there a little bit cleaner. If we go back to our bookmark at our extent, right, it just kind of fits in there with a little bit less conflict with the underlying road network. So we'll just do the same for Ouray County. Let's put this buffer on. Put it 2. Oops. Put it 30. And that looks pretty good. So, take care of that with Montrose, Ouray, Saguache, Archuleta, and that's easy enough. Okay, so let's look at this a little bit more. We see that we have a couple superfluous labels, right? We don't really need this National Forest label here. There's one right above it, so that's not really adding anything at this point, so we can just go and just delete that. And And you probably don't need this San Juan National Forest label here, oriented vertically. Right, there's San Juan here, there's San Juan here, there's San Juan here. So let's just go ahead and let's delete this one, because this one has a bit of a curvature to it, which makes it kind of annoying to work with. So we'll just delete that one, and we'll take this one, go up here to our edit, move, and we'll move this one down here, and then let's just rotate it 90 degrees. Rotate it just a little bit more. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Right, so we've essentially taken this label here that was at this vertical extent, moved it down here, rotated it just a little bit, so that it fits a little bit nicer. You could even rotate this a little bit more. It's not quite exactly, not get too nitpicky, but good enough. Okay, so that looks pretty good. What next? Let's go up here to this area. This area is kind of a mess, just because we have this thick hillshade back here that's making things a little bit hard to read. San Juan County's crunched in here. There's just kind of a lot of compaction going on. So first thing we'll do is we'll center justify this. So let's select this feature. We'll go to our edit tab, annotation, let's go to the attributes, and let's just center that. Okay, that gives us a little bit more to work with. Let's just kind of move it right here, I think, and we'll just give that maybe a bit of a thicker buffer, just because it's conflicting with the underlying topography, these county boundaries. So let's make that one, let's say 3, and maybe just 20%. That's a bit too much, so that's fine. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And I always like to kind of go back to my bookmark. How's this look like from afar? Yeah, it's just a little bit too bold for my taste, so I'll just probably go, just because it's coming up against this green, so it's kind of standing out a little bit more than these ones over here, for instance. I'll make it 3, make this like 40. You know, this is not an exact science, just kind of what looks good to you. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. So now we have that. Let's work on our peaks a little bit now. We can go into El Diente peak. Let's center justify that. And that's this one actually down here. So let's do the same with Mount Wilson. And what we're going to do here is we can right click it and say stack. So now you can put Mount Wilson right here. Put this one right here. And maybe take Wilson Peak and move it over a little bit. Okay, looks pretty good. Want this one center justified. Maybe want this one stacked. Center justify. Oops. So, you know, go through those, play with them as you want. This area down here, right, we have to spread this out a little bit, maybe put some halos around these. These ones here, definitely need a halo around this. Um, right, so just give it a little bit of a little tidying up of these different elements here, just so that you have the capacity to read the map, right? Always go back to this bookmark. You're able to read the map cleanly. Things have space to breathe. Things are not crunched on top of each other. Use the annotation process to take the labels that you place with the Maplex engine and maneuver them, adjust them, modify them, just enough so that they have the space that they need to make the map, maximize the readability of the map, maximize the placement of the labels, and then give it, try to avoid some of those like little conflicts that happen. Like even something like this is what, where, like this, right? So that's something that I would kind of point out and go, okay, how can I make this? Can I move it like over here potentially and give it maybe a smaller halo just so it can kind of maneuver around that park boundary a little bit better. Right, so it's super subtle, but just enough that at this distance becomes just a little bit more readable. Right, Mountain Village, you might stack, center justify, and then move maybe over here. So play around with that. Find yourself the workflow that you want, envision how you want the map to lay out, and then, yeah, have fun.